Hello everyone, welcome to this session and we will discuss today what is a trade secret. Trade secret is one of the form of intellectual property and trade secret may be a process, know-how, formula, recipe like Coca-Cola recipe, method, composition of a couple of components or it could be a formulation. It's very important to understand that trade secret is any information which is important for business and it should not be in public. If information is in a public, then you cannot really call it as a trade secret. An owner of the trade secret should have taken enough steps to protect it. And it's interesting that reverse engineering of a trade secret is legitimate. That means if you have a product in the market and there is a component of trade secret in it, somebody can, if somebody reverse engineers it, it is not an offense, it is completely legitimate. That's why you should only choose the processes to be called as trade secrets if it is very difficult to reverse engineer them. Trade secret protection is not bound by time because trade secret remains a secret as long as you are able to maintain secrecy of it. So once secret is out, then there is no protection. So there is no time limit, unlike patent, which is 20 years from date of filing. There is no validity of trade secret. As long as you can maintain secrecy of it, it can be called as trade secret. Once it is out in the market, it is no more a trade secret. Since trade secret cannot be registered, it should not be disclosed. So in order to get any form of IP registered, disclosure has to be made to the government. So in this case, since you cannot disclose it, you cannot register it. So it is solely on the owner to take precautions to safeguard it. Once trade secret is gone, it is gone forever. Once it is leaked in the market, then there is no way you can recover it back. So once it is gone forever. So Coca-Cola is a typical example. The recipe of Coca-Cola has been a secret for more than 100 years now. If you have seen this movie, Love Shav, the Chicken Khurana, this movie completely revolves around a trade secret, and that secret is with Dadaji. And after death of Dadaji, the grandchildren they really do a lot of hit and trial to find out what exactly was the recipe which Dadaji was using, and he had a very famous restaurant, and the particular recipe of chicken was very famous. So if you have not seen this movie, I think you must watch this movie to understand what is value of the trade secret. And after death of this fellow Dadaji, the competitor is ready to pay a lump sum amount of money to grandchildren to transfer trade secret to them. So do watch this movie. So I only want to emphasize on the value of trade secret for a business. Some of famous trade secrets which you all know. One is like herb 16 herb recipe of KFC. Now, how this trade secret is protected? Because the company has taken precautions to safeguard the trade secret. Now, when Coca-Cola is getting manufactured in any other country, they don't disclose the recipe. They just give a syrup. So that syrup mixed with carbonated water becomes Coca-Cola. So nobody knows the recipe. Now, a very beautiful example of a trade secret is that election ink. Okay, so after independence, when the first election happened in India, so lots of fake voting happened. So that's how the secret formulation was made for the ink that stays on the finger for at least 21 days. And Mysore Paints and Varnishes is the only company in India who has license to manufacture this election ink. And this company is not only catering Indian market, but also globally, many countries are buying election ink from this company. And this is a very well protected and strong trade secret. And now you see how many years after independence have happened, but this is still a trade secret. The two terms confidential information and trade secret, they look very similar, but they are not same. And many times companies they use these two terms interchangeably, but you must know the difference between both of them. I can say that all trade secrets are confidential in nature, but all confidential information cannot be termed as trade secret. Confidential information is generally limited to a single event in conduct of a business, whereas a trade secret is a process or device for continuous use in operation of business. For example, the information about merging and acquisition of a company, salary hike of the employees is confidential information. So once salary hike has happened or mergers and acquisitions has happened, then that information is in public and it is no more confidential information. But trade secret may be a process or it can be a method or a recipe which is part of every product which company is making. So use of combination of yeast strains to make softer bread could be a trade secret of the company. Trade secret or confidential information is a very sensitive information and it is very easy to misappropriate it. You can scribble it down, you can store it in your brain. Okay, so there are three ways in which confidential information can be misused or misappropriated. One is wrongful acquisition of trade secret from somebody else. Then wrongful disclosure to a wrong person may happen. Unauthorized person from your company may disclose this information to your competitors. That becomes like wrongful disclosure. Or any trade secret of your competitors can come to your organization through an employee, and you might happen to use that trade secret of third party by mistake or knowingly, so that can be categorized as wrongful use. So these three are the most common ways in which misappropriation or misuse of trade secrets or confidential information happens in the industry. Safeguarding a trade secret is extremely important, and before safeguarding, uh, identification of trade secret is important. Most of the times companies do not realize importance of trade secret till the time they lose it to their competitors. So first of all, identify, label, and have stringent contract to safeguard your confidential information. You must identify leakage points in your company. You may get IP audit done and find out where the leakage points are, and you can seal the leakage points and safeguard your trade secrets. Physical security is very important. Your CCTV cameras, entry in the logbook, and no use of camera phones in the premises where some confidential work is going on. You have to restrict sensitive areas. Many companies they restrict their R&D R&D premises to make sure that no visitors they enter their R&D area. Limited access to particular information and listing out people who can access the restricted areas of the company is very helpful. Identification of trade secret has to be done by some brainstorming sessions within the company, and then labeling of trade secret has to happen. So after you identify, document it, then comes the step where you have to see how to safeguard it. And just physical security is not enough till the time there is enough awareness in the organization among the employees about trade secret, and you must identify the flaws in your company processes, day to day processes, by doing a IP audit, which can be done by internal counsel or it can be done by the external third party. Confidential information should be categorized into low, moderate, and high confidential. So accordingly, you can deal with it, and all documents they have to be labeled, and all areas they have to be restricted where any confidential information or trade secret is going to be executed or used. Breaking a secret into multiple components is one of the common ways the companies have been safeguarding their trade secret. Now, just take example of a recipe of making softer bread. So one single person does not know the entire process. So process may be in two parts, and those people, if they don't meet, then it will be almost impossible to have single person accessing the entire trade secret. You must go through some of the case studies to understand how the companies they protect their trade secrets. Changing product specification often is also one of the ways to have stronger protection for the products. In order to safeguard trade secret, there are few precautions which employees should understand. Employees should understand the contract which they have signed with the company, the employment agreement, NDA, etc. And basics of IP hygiene have to be known by the employees. Employee should never incorporate prior employer's information into the current work, because every employee brings some information from previous employer, and few things are inevitable. If the knowledge is just sitting in his head, then unknowingly also he may disclose or use the trade secret of the previous employer, but one has to be mindful about it. Employee has to refrain from unauthorized acts while handling the confidential information, and should be very careful about leakage of this information at the time of interviews or making the resume, because when interview is going on, employee is very enthusiastic about disclosing what kind of experience he has, what kind of product he was working upon. So one has to be very careful about how much information is getting disclosed at the time of interviews or putting information in the resume. HR manager has to make sure that uh, information is not pumped from the employee during the interviews. Okay, so unknowingly, HR manager may be extracting some critical information from the candidate at the time of interview, and most of the times, employees do not understand what they are signing upon as a employment agreement. So HR should help employee understand what is the composition of employment agreement, and what are the roles and responsibilities of employee, and what could be the liability if any critical information is misused or misappropriated by the employee. Periodic awareness sessions on intellectual property right or trade secrets should be done by the HR manager, so that employees know what to do and what not to do. At the time of leaving a company, if employee has worked for 5 or 6 years in a company, he would have forgotten what he signed at the time of joining the company. So at the time of leaving the company, exit interview has to happen, and HR should hand over copy of the agreement, that is employment agreement and non-disclosure agreement, to the employee to remind the employee about his responsibility towards the sensitive information of the company. Consequences of misappropriating trade secrets or confidential information of a company is very serious. There are civil remedies like injunction, damages, account of profit, and there are also criminal remedies like imprisonment, fine, or both. So one has to be extremely careful about handling confidential information of a company. So I'll just conclude my session. Confidential information or trade secret. Once it is lost forever. And company's IP needs security and protection, and you must handle this information with care. Thank you so much for attending this session. All the best to you. Take care of yourself.